So it is exactly 9:36 on Tuesday, No, scratch that. I'm ahead of myself. December 31st. And you are so lucky that I am doing this right now. I have had such a long day, but a good day in the end. I am not going to lie, you guys, the holiday season has been very hard for me, and I don't think that I'm unique in that, but it's not necessarily for the reasons that you might think. I am in a fantastic place. I am working on a lot of really deep seated wounds. And if you listen to my last podcast episode, I'm really taking, and every year I take a significant amount of time to reflect upon my shadows and reflect upon the things that I don't want to take with me, the things that I want to get rid of, the things that I'm no longer willing to tolerate. And at the same time, be able to really integrate the parts of myself that are mean and evil and vindictive and spicy and rude and wrong and looking at all of these quote unquote negative words and looking at them with great gratitude, because let me tell y'all, when I am backed into a corner, those quote unquote negative things in my life have been the reasons for why I got out of some really tough situations. So in that vein, I just wanted to use this time and this podcast to have my end of the year reflection just on camera. Now, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll probably know that yesterday I announced that I'm going to be doing 9 days of course recording of me actually using my Notion operating system that I've been developing for the better part of 5 years on myself, on my businesses, and on my coaching clients. But that's not what we're doing here today. It's going to be a separate YouTube series, and I'm super excited about sharing that with you guys. But this podcast is really not a place for product promotion. It was created with the intention of validating my own story. And I think that that's a really radical way to consider social media, that to consider social media as just a neutral tool. There's a lot of blame on, if there wasn't social media, my life would be better. And I just fundamentally do not have time for people who think that a neutral tool is working against them. That is not possible because you have free will and because you can choose to not be on social media. You can choose to use social media, like I'm using this podcast right now, as evidence for me to show up for myself and say, hey, as someone who's experienced gaslighting all her life, and if you are a othered person in any capacity, if you have neurospiciness, if you have experienced any trauma, I'm assuming that you have had experiences that have led you to not trust yourself, which can lead to codependency and enmeshment. And that's definitely something I'm not going to be taking with me this year. I'm going to be actively choosing what I have set forth in this podcast, which is I am going to continue showing up on camera, telling my story for absolutely nobody but myself. And it would be awesome if you guys bore witness to that as I share and set an example for myself as a way to use social media as a healing process and also a way to just become a better person. Like, honestly, it's not even about becoming an expert in podcasts or on YouTube or on Instagram. Like, we all know that eventually these platforms are going to die off. I remember when Facebook was the most important thing in my life. And quite honestly, right now, if you make me go on Facebook, I question whether or not I should have you in life. There is nothing quite like raging against the machine, like just being your authentic self. And I know that is so a live, laugh, love thing to say, man, but it's something I'm experiencing right now on camera with you, which is I know this is probably going to get 7 views. I'm not even going to say that. I literally have no attachment at all to how many views this gets. I'm showing up right now tonight to have evidence that I am putting on the official timeline of the infinite history of the internet and saying, I had a panic attack this morning. I was in a dark place. We almost missed our flight, and we rallied, I should say. I should give my partner credit. But the reason why I was late is because I tried to do this before our flight and it didn't work out. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have all the cameras set up, and it was a bad time. I have never gotten an ADHD diagnosis, but I'll tell you right now, I definitely suffer from, what's it called? Not hierarchical function. What's it called? ADHD. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. ADHD is what? Executive functioning. Because at least when I'm in a state of fight or flight, which is definitely what's happening when you have a panic attack, the only part of your brain that's accessible is like the frontal lobe. So it's always been my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, I should probably Google this, is like you don't have access to that executive functioning. So it's like when I'm in a high state of stress, which has honestly been over the last few weeks, just in and out of these sort of like really deep, like physicalized cries or like anxieties. It's like, it really was one of those mornings where I was just like, did not have the ability to like plan. And I was beating myself up. I was ashamed that we were going to be late. Like, and it's so common in these moments in our lives where we're really deciding to work on something deep, that it's really difficult to also manage just like day-to-day existence and still show up for yourself. And I said something to my partner in the airport that I really want to bring into next year, which is like, I no longer am willing to let my anxiety rob me of showing up for myself, right? Like, the reason why I rallied and I'm showing up here now is simply because, like, the same way that, is it the Marine that had that really famous like theory of like make your bed? Who's the make your bed guy? Okay, Admiral William McRaven, who famously gave the Make Your Bed speech at the University of Texas at Austin Commencement in 2014. It's really about starting your day, making your bed, because even if you have a shitty day and you come back, you look at a bed made and you said, you know what this proves to me is that I did something in the morning that I didn't feel like doing that took care of a later version of me, and that's really awesome. And I would love for somebody who has a little bit more knowledge on neuroscience to like see if there's actually proof of this, of like it actually rewiring your brain when you have reps of like showing up for yourself, right? I think that's ultimately why these habit trackers and these sort of like really stoic, bro-y, like get like discipline things, they ultimately work, right? The military approach does work because there's something about the fact that when you make a groove in a habit in your brain over and over again, eventually it's almost just like water, it slips into the groove. You know, and that's so important when we are unlearning, but also replacing. Because I realized in my life when I tried to just like create a blank slate, it actually just made it worse. It's more that you actually have to replace things with pleasure. But that can be really hard if you're somebody who has complete atrophy in their own desire or have a very severely underdeveloped self-identity, or like have experienced any sort of codependency in any way, because ultimately I'm dealing with like not being able to make my own decisions. I'm dealing with not being able to feel like my decisions are true, not being able to trust myself. And the ultimate point that I'm making is just that this podcast is about showing up for myself. And the thing that I'm taking into the future is just making sure that the last thing that I do is let my anxiety rob me of me. It can rob me of like, did I shower today? I can live with that. Did I hit my protein goal today? I can live with that. But what I hate the most about taking the time to heal yourself is that it brings memories back through the body, and you've got to handle it. And you don't know when that's going to come up and when you're going to be triggered. And when you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to set your goals and you've got you've got a deadline that you've set for yourself, and you have to hold for yourself accountable to that. You do. Nobody's going to come and save you. So what feels really, really frustrating is like, I don't know when that's going to happen. So having an externalized system like, hey, dude, I'm going to shoot this podcast every single week. It's not even about, you know, oh, then I'm going to be ranked on Spotify and then I'm going to make money. That is not the reason why this goal is set. The reason why this goal has been set is so that I can break a habit and replace it. And that's what I was going to say. It's like, you can't just pretend that getting rid of the thing that you don't want to do anymore is going to be enough, right? For all y'all trying to do like sober January, your fridge better be motherfucking stocked with your favorite little expensive sippies. You've got to have like La Croix. You've got to have your little tinctures. You've got to have your little bitters. You've got to like make a mocktail, okay? That's the only way. And I am at a stage in my life where, because I had such an intense, catastrophic mental breakdown right before I turned 30, I lost a whole social group that I had grown up with. And so as a result, I really don't have a lot of big memory points or big relationships that I can have this sort of like story given back to me. But I'm not looking to replace that social circle either, because I, again, no longer want to repeat those things. So in some way, I forced myself for a long time to be like, just don't try and like have new friendships, try and make new friendships. And that just felt like shit. Cause like, one, I've realized that like I am a very solitary person. I love being by myself. I love people, but I'm not really like a big friend group kind of person. It doesn't really suit me. But what I do need is conversational processing. And what I do need is validation of my own story. And I know that I have codependent tendencies. So my decision making was like, dude, what goal can I set that will allow me to work on all of these different things across all of these different areas of my life? And the podcast just made sense, because it's like, keeps me on a regimented schedule, which is really important if you want to build a habit of something that you're not disciplined enough to do. So that was podcast every week. Ha ha ha, Daryl. Like, you literally got 3 in this entire year. But you know what? I still did 3 more than I did the year before when I didn't have this goal at all. The point of what I'm saying is that it's not that you need to set lofty goals and feel bad when you don't achieve them. You really need to just be tuned in on how to set the right goals and to set metrics around those goals that are using tools of measurement that are actually going to create the reality that you want. And like, if we want to go way out there for a second, like this is a quantum theory. Okay, this is based on the idea that observation turns a particle into a wave, right? A random infinite cloud of possibilities is always present. It's omnipresent. And then as soon as we observe it, that's when it becomes reality. So what I really want you guys to understand here is that when you are setting a goal, if you set that goal but are measuring it in the wrong way, you are unintentionally working for a reality that you don't want. You are literally creating a reality that you don't want from this very, very small misstep. And this is a misstep that ruined my life. Well, it didn't ruin my life. I had an absolute tower moment, and like now I'm happier than ever, and like that's wonderful, and that's the hero's journey, and la-di-da. But the level of pain that it got to could have been reduced a little bit. Right? Maybe not. I don't know. But the lesson that I gleaned, okay, from that tower moment, and maybe that's the point, the gem of the lesson that birthed out of me in that deep, deep sacrifice and just burning down is this nuance in goal setting. Because I said this before, is like, I am a type, well, I'm not a type A, I'm more of a type B girl that's like got straight A's. Like, I was just always the girl that like got good grades. I like got into the right school, and like shit hit the fan when I got to college, and I was like really sad, but I graduated and I just continued hitting the ground running, working in photography, starting my own production company, and like, and it just burning the candle at both ends, right? And so when I set goals, I always achieved them. That wasn't the problem. And in some way it was, because when I set a goal, I would achieve it, but then I got really good at creating and moving life forward in the very wrong direction. You know, because sometimes it's about asking, what are the right things I'm doing right that you should keep? What are the right things that I'm doing wrong that I should keep and just fix? What are the wrong things I'm doing right? And this is what I'm talking about. I was doing the wrong thing correctly. And then the easy stuff that I think most of us do in the New Year's is like, what's the wrong stuff that I'm doing wrong? With this issue, we're talking about somebody who is really good at achieving goals, but whose goals were never actually set with the right tool of measurement. They weren't set with the right intention. I never actually stopped and asked myself, is that what I really want? Is that what I really want? And yes, I wanted to be able to cultivate a space for me to be able to do the art that I wanted to do when I wanted to do it and maybe make the world a little bit of a better place. And this bitch loves a business. Give me a business, I'm gonna start it. I love it. But it really is sad how many people I meet who are just missing this little step. Like very, very successful people have come to me that I've coached that make way more money than I do. And the only thing that they're missing is somebody to tell them like, yo, like, how are you measuring success? It's like, oh, well, I just want to make more money. It's like, okay, but okay, why? Why? You ever see that Jim Carrey speech? He has one. And he talks about how he wants everybody to be really, really rich. And not because like he wants to see people successful, but because what you learn at the top when you have a lot of money is that you're still not necessarily in alignment, right? My personal belief is that we all came here with a specific set of DNA that was specifically tasked with a karmic debt or whatever language you want to use. And our purpose is to figure out how we can uniquely serve. And then once we serve, we deserve. And then once we are deserving and we have more than enough, then we can transcend into a higher stage of enlightenment, but not until then. And so the most important thing for you to do is to ask why, right? Why am I setting this goal? This is something that I've done before, and something I'm going to be doing tomorrow is not defining my values for the first time, because I have honed in on my values, I think 6 years now. Like this is my 6th year doing it. And when I was doing it for the business, I was doing core values for the business. But my life changed when I realized that my personal set of core values and my business values had to be the same if I wanted to have true alignment. Because I don't know when I'm going to have a panic attack, and I don't know when shit's going to hit the fan. But I know that if I structure the foundation of my business, which is ultimately the definition of my core values, and then set goals from that, I put myself in a position where I don't have to worry about whether or not the goal is being set that's correct. Because once I found out that I was setting the wrong goals, and once I found out that that was connected to not actually spending the time to really decide what my set of commandments were, what my rules were, I was like just generally anti-authoritarian. I was just like, I don't want to listen to anybody's rules. But you don't get to just say, oh, I don't want to listen to anybody's rules. If you want to subvert society, if you want to not have to listen to anybody's rules, you have to create your own. And this is what I'm saying about you don't just get to quit, you have to replace. One of my favorite exercises and one of my traditions is to list out the things that I am not. And then once I've listed the things that I don't want anymore, it's a lot easier for my brain, okay, because we got trust issues with her, to say, okay, I know neurologically it's much easier for me to identify the negative things. So if I can do that, then I can say, okay, if I don't want this anymore, what's the positive of it? Listen, you can call me Debbie Downer. Like, I am really a practical, big Saturn daddy, like devil's advocate. And so it's really important that I allow myself to lean into that natural inclination rather than forcing some sort of toxic positivity of like, what do you want? What do you want? I don't know what I want. My desire is broken. I'm fixing it. And the way that I have learned how to get there is to just accept the shadow part of myself that's good at the negative shit. Right? What am I no longer willing to tolerate? What's making me angry? This is especially true for my human design girlies who are generators and have that sacral response, and anger is especially a signifier of a not self theme. When I'm angry, I know that I'm ready to fucking work. I love it. My partner has this term called dirty fuel, and it's like when you see something that makes you so angry that you're compelled to do it. But when you think about the hero's journey and creating any idea, right? It always starts with a problem that you were faced with that you couldn't solve. You couldn't solve despite the resources that you had. So you had to go out into the world, into the unknown, leave a stage of comfort, and then go find that answer for yourself. But then the hero's journey brings that internal change, brings that realization back home. And that's where you create a business, right? Like I always give the example of like, okay, there's a girl who's running and she's getting chafing on her inner thighs. So she goes out to try and find a pair of leggings that will make her legs not chafe. She realizes that there aren't any out there and she really wants to run and it's really hurting her. So what she does, she goes out into the world, she learns about materials, she designs her own leggings so that she can go on runs, she wins the Boston Marathon, and then all of a sudden she comes home and she's like, guys, I have these amazing leggings. And don't you want to buy from a girl who's had that story than some weirdo who tells women what size they should be to sell you $300 leggings that are polyester and bad for your cortisol levels? No. A lot of us are feeling that underdog moment of like, holy shit, society is collapsing. Oh no, politics, blah, 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 blah. I don't personally live on that level because I think I've gotten out of binary thinking and I just think everybody's trying to do the best of their ability. But if you're contending with this sort of like negative abyss of like, fuck, like what am I supposed to do? Like I'm so tired of like men being in a position of power. I'm so tired of, Elon Musk doing this. Okay, then do it better. And I'm not saying that because I think that they're good people. I don't know them. I really don't give a fuck. But I have zero tolerance for the people out there that are complaining and not realizing it's a call to adventure. Okay? The boomers are going to die. And we've got to show up, and we get to show up. There's going to be an amazing transfer of wealth. We are entering this new age. I know you all can feel it. So what I'm not taking this year is I'm not taking my anxiety with me. I am leaving it behind, and I am setting a boundary that says you are no longer allowed to rob me of showing up for myself. The other thing I am not taking with me is being successful will inevitably end in catastrophe. So going back to this list of like, what am I not? And then the opposite is ultimately the desire that's going to pull me forward. Excuse me. I'm no longer questioning whether or not I'm an artist. I am an artist. I'm an artist like it's a disease. I'm an artist like I make a lot of work that never sees the light of day because it's the thing that helps me navigate the fucking world. I mean, look at me. I've got to make a whole like video essay just to like contend with my New Year's resolutions, And so taking a bet on myself this year and actually seeing myself hit and surpass every single goal that I set, especially while riding the wave of my year, of my emotional state, of all of the unknowns, staying on track, staying on goal, and also never breaking one of the cardinal rules that I have, which is that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So what I wasn't willing to do this year when I was achieving this goal of becoming a public artist, I was no longer willing to burn the candle at both ends. Now, have I been able to do this kind of sort of in the past? Yes, absolutely. But this year, it was officially a goal that I had been pushing away for like over a decade. And I would argue that the reason for why I burned out in New York is because I almost procrastinated my own artwork with a business. And I helped so many other people move forward in their careers. And I think that that's a very common thing for people who are codependent and self-loathing in a lot of ways, is like they feel so undeserving and they feel so desperate of wanting help that they end up helping other people, thinking and hoping that they're going to help and return the favor, which is such a codependent thought. And I didn't know was a controlling, manipulative thing, quite honestly, because it felt like, oh, well, I'm being kind to other people, like they'll be kind to me. Like that is so fucked. So being able to show up as a public artist and not feeling like I have to, put other people first or apologize for my existence or not share it on the internet because people are going to be like, it must be nice to be an artist full time. Yeah, it is fucking nice. It is fucking nice. But you know what? It's really fucking hard. And so what I'm really excited about this year is saying, okay, girl, you set a goal, but the top of every mountain is the bottom of the next one. And are you willing and able to climb the next level? Because it's not like you go back to the bottom and climb the same mountain, right? It's like I have to sustain this altitude, a lower level of oxygen, adapt and grow. So what I really want to see for myself this year, okay, what I'm no longer willing to be is broke. Now, did I make a living this year? Absolutely. I'm so proud of every single one of the coaching one-on-one clients that I got because they were in line with exactly what I wanted and who I wanted to work with. And that was another goal that I had. I'm super proud of hitting it, is that I didn't have a goal of just getting new clients. I had the tool of measurement be the type of client, right? Not just somebody that wants me to handle the entire operational transfer into Notion, which I can do and I'm very good at. And I charged a lot of money for. But I was always working with people who I noticed were running into operational issues in scaling their business because of a spiritual and emotional problem. And I was so tired of getting to the end of the road and being like, I can't help you any further operationally because we don't have a relationship where I can call you out on the fact that the real reason that you're not going to go anywhere with your business is because you're not contending with the fact that you don't live in alignment with your values. Which honestly, one of these days I'm going to have a podcast episode about like how many times I've been fired. Most recently this year, I was fired by a woman whose main pillar is literally to support women in business. She has a financial advisement firm to help women in business. And when I called her out for breaking contract, which I gave her permission to do to take a pause on our contract, came back, suffered the consequences of not keeping me on board, which was essentially a chaotic mess of operations. I called her out on it, and then not only did I call her out on it, but I also said, I'm not going to do anything else until you pay me. And she did this carrot stick thing, which I fucking think is so old school. And I really, oh God, I'm just lucky that I'm like a kind person, and I'm not going to name drop, but like truly, it irks me to my core that she fronts as somebody who cares about women, but then is not. So anyways, to finish the story, she preached all of this stuff about being pro-women. And then when I called her out on breaking contract and asking me to send her an entirely new pitch of a plan when she had 3 meetings in without paying me, girl, do you know how many organizations that were all about the culture that just had like net 30 payment and would make it net 60 and be like, sorry, that's the industry. Sorry, I can't pay you for 60 days. It's the industry. I'm sorry. I have zero patience for people who follow the rules as an excuse and scapegoat. How many conversations I had during our calls where she was frustrated that she wasn't getting paid and well served. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is why I no longer am willing to work inside of an industry that isn't willing to work on itself. I'm here to work with individual human beings who are compelled to find their purpose and make a shit ton of money doing it. And I don't know if those things are mutually exclusive, but I know that the universe wants you to be rich. And if you're in alignment, that's what happens. So I'm super proud of myself for getting fired by that woman. So I'm going to add that to like one of the wins of 2024, because it was really a line drawn in the sand where I was like, I'm not taking another fat check from somebody that is making me spend the entire check on self-care and robbing me of my creativity. No. Especially when that person isn't being honest with who they are. The people that I like taking paychecks from who are actually in business are the ones that say, yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I'm doing this for any other reason than to make a shit ton of money. I can work with that. I can work with, this is who I am. That's what I want. That's what's good for you. I support it. But none of this wishy-washy, this is my belief system, but I'm not actually going to align myself to it. And I'm certainly not going to admit that that's actually the reason for why I'm not happy in my life. God, it really is a burden to pattern recognize. Call it being an empath. I call it hypervigilance. It's a trauma response, but God, does it allow me to call out bullshit. Now, Am I always so good at actually listening to myself and trusting that and actually being proactive in that? No, because it shouldn't have gone 3 meetings in without me being paid before I actually was like, yo, I don't think that we align. Keep your money. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, anyways. The money I want to make this year is really scaling from 5 figures to 6 figures to continue all of the amazing work that I've been doing, aligning with the clients that I actually want to work with one-on-one, but really try and scale my business by launching a passive income stream, which is the course that I'm going to be recording over the next week, using the templates and systems that I have perfected across all of my different coaching and consulting jobs over the last 10 years, I would say. Because even though I've only been a Notion certified expert for the last 2 years, I have been an operational girly from the time that I was 18 years old. Because let me tell you something, when you learn a craft like photography and you have to work for yourself, you are forced to learn operations. And the people that are successful do, and the people who are not successful don't. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you do not have a system to keep you accountable and actually organized, it's never going to work. I mean, yes, the world looks like chaos, but when you look at it right from the perfect angle, it's just all symmetrical and divinely designed. The mission that you will be seeing me pursue is the execution of the actual plan that I am recording using this self-coaching system, right? That really has been the blueprint for me to build after burnout. Because this is the thing, I've burnt out so many times and I had to rebuild myself up so many times in my life that it became my profession without even realizing it. It was so wonderful to be able to share these resources with so many different diverse clients, because what it proved to me is that I actually created a system that I needed, which was specific and bespoke to me. And that is really something I'm proud of, because so many of the coaching systems that are out there, they're not objective, they're subjective. You've got to come up with something that will work objectively across every single individual. What I plan on doing this year is really turning the volume up on my content creation and try my best to document field notes of me actually executing the plan that I record over the next 9 days that I will be packaging as a course so that you can use the system for yourself and give you real-time information as to what's going on and how I use it. Because what I'm sharing with you guys is not a guarantee that this is going to change your life. That's not how creation works. There's an intention that you set, right? There is an action that you take, which is doing the course, and then there's surrender. There's surrender to all of the possible outcomes, doing the best of your ability. And when you surrender, God will put you in the right direction, whether you like it or not. So you don't have to worry about whether or not the intention is correct. You have to set it with clarity and purpose and responsibility, and then surrender to the process. And that's what the hero's journey is, okay? So we are going on a journey. We have a call to adventure that says Daryl is going to scale her business and hit 6 figures this year. But not only is she going to do that, she's going to do it while making art. I might save this for a podcast later, but some of you might be asking, like, why don't you just sell your art? Part of the reason for why I don't sell my art comes back to my origin story, which is that when I turned my camera into my paycheck, it robbed my relationship with it when it came to it being a tool for me to reflect upon my own experience and have it be a way for me to express my own specific vision. When I hire out my camera and I have to execute somebody else's vision, it really, really, really is not good for me. So would I like to see my art be sold one day? Maybe, but the way that I approach art is that it should be, the art that I'm making is public art, which means that it needs to be free for the public. That's how I define it. But I also feel like I deserve to get paid. So the way that I do that is I research for funding and grants. That's another thing that I'm going to be talking about this year. I'm still not sure whether or not I'm going to put it in the course. So I don't know how many of you are going to watch this, but if you do, and that sounds like something that you're interested, let me know. It might be just like a one-off thing that I release as its own like sort of self-contained database and Notion template. But I might show you guys how I plan my grant project out for the year. Because once you just get the foundation of like a second brain, which is basically what I'm showing you guys with Notion. And if you guys want to find that for free, you can totally just go to YouTube and find second brain. But I'm just going to warn you, I was using a second brain and I ended up in the mental ward anyways from burnout. And so before you just go and set these goals, I want you to make sure, even if it's not with me, that you are contending with why you are setting them and how you are measuring their success. And a really good goal is one that is so big and so intense and so all-encompassing that when you look at all areas of your life, it's moving the needle forward. But more importantly, when you define your personal core values and then you compare your own personal set of core values with how you're actually living your life, a goal is ultimately a mile marker that you're setting in a direction towards the definition of your own core values. So if that sounds something like that you're interested in, please stay tuned for the course. I'm going to be releasing some of the videos on YouTube for free just to give you guys some insight. And then I'll be putting my templates behind the paywall on January 9th. So if you haven't already, I would really, really encourage you guys just to go get all of my templates. These are the templates that I am going to be using for my course. The only difference is that the course is going to come with a comprehensive instructions on and recipe basically for you to use it so that you can create the food item that you would like. Sorry, I use a kitchen analogy for my human design girlies. If you can't tell already, my environment is a kitchen. And my coach told me this, that I have it written at front and center on my Notion, and it says mise en place. I'm so sorry to the French speakers. I know that's not correct, but it means basically everything in its place. And that philosophy is something that is really important if you want to take your creative flow seriously. If you want flow in your life, period, you better make sure every single thing is prepped in that kitchen, because that's what allows you to create. That's what extreme discipline is. It's mise en place. It's everything in its place so that when shit hits the fan and you have a panic attack, you can still come back to yourself, back to your system, back to your core values and say, you know what? I'm not going to just go to bed tonight and feel defeated. I'm going to turn the camera on and I'm going to record. And I'm not going to be worried about if it's perfect, because the tool of measurement for me to hit the goal, for me to be successful in this podcast that I'm doing, is to show up for myself. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today and every other day. And I invite you to do that as well. So thank you guys so much for listening to me. Daryl, I'm so proud of you, girl. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of your year. I'm so proud of how far you've come. I look forward to sharing your story more, girl, because it's powerful, it's worthy, and in the end, it'll all just fade to dust and nothingness anyways. So if you're falling into the abyss, you might as well fly, baby. Enjoy the ride. You're going to splat anyways. You're going to anyways. And that's what makes this beautiful. So in the effort of surrender and the effort of Capricorn season, we've got a lot in store. Also, I had this here this whole time because I wanted to brag about the fact that I wrote a contract for us to do 75. We're not calling it 75 hard. We're calling it 75 tendy, 75 tender. And this is culminated in 40 days of Kriya with Mami Onami and Magic over at Safe House. I'll be putting a 10% discount in the description of my bio. I'm literally the only person on earth that has discount to this course. You're not going to find it anywhere else. Yeah. So I will either see you here next time, see you at the ritual in Safe House, or I will see you at my course on January 9th, my 33rd birthday, y'all. Same age as Jesus. That's freaking cool. Freaking cool? Freaking cool, Daryl. God. Okay. Time to sign off. Bye, y'all.